Republicans are sending illegal immigrants to Democrat-run cities. Democrats are outraged, and both sides are trying to score political points. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. If there's one thing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is great at, it's making headlines. And he's really outdone himself this time. All he had to do was send 4 dozen illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. Yep, that'll do it. Martha's Vineyard is a small Massachusetts island that styles itself as a sanctuary destination for illegal immigrants. It's also a popular vacation spot for very wealthy liberals, including politicians. Former President Barack Obama has a house there. But DeSantis' move to send illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard is only the latest in an ongoing immigration chess game. And it all begins at the border. There's been a huge surge in illegal immigration. U.S. Border Patrol is on pace to record 2 million apprehensions in a fiscal year for the first time ever. The Border Patrol is doing their best to catch them all, but this seems like it's the world's saddest game of Pokemon Go. And the number of people dying while crossing the border is rising too. Despite this, Vice President Kamala Harris, who was put in charge of tackling the border crisis in 2021, says the southern border is secure.
The border is secure, but we also have a broken immigration system, in particular over the last 4 years before we came in, and it needs to be fixed.
We're going to have 2 million people cross this border for the first time ever. You're confident this border is secure?
We have a secure border.
She seems about as confident saying the border is secure as Kanye West does saying his marriage to Kim Kardashian was secure. Border agents have slammed Harris for her claims, saying the border is far from secure. Daily encounters are hitting 8,000 in some cases, an all-time record. And then there are the gotaways, illegal immigrants who successfully make it into the country without being detained. There have been over 500,000 this year so far. The Biden administration has been trying to shift the blame onto former President Donald Trump and Republicans because that's what they do every time anything goes wrong. The cheese is expired? Curse you, Ultra MAGA! But Republican border state governors are upset about the influx of illegal immigrants, which strains their resources. Adding to the difficulty, according to officials, is the current migrant surge from Venezuela. They don't have friends or family to sponsor them in the U.S., so they have nowhere to go. The governors of Texas and Arizona have spent the last several months sending thousands of migrants to sanctuary cities far away from the border, like New York City, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. I wonder where they got that idea from. But what's really driving people over the edge is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis flying 48 migrants to Martha's Vineyard. Because that's just cruel. So many have been saving up for years and still can't afford a trip to Martha's Vineyard.
The 48 asylum seekers, mainly from Venezuela, landed in Martha's Vineyard Wednesday afternoon aboard 2 planes from Texas and organized by Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis.
Shortly after landing in Martha's Vineyard, the migrants ended up in a shelter at St. Andrew's Parish House, where they got a lot of support from the local community.
Thursday was marked by compassion as wave after wave of island residents showed up with food and clothing. Lawyers say the group was given these maps as they boarded planes in San Antonio, one with an arrow from Texas to Massachusetts, and the other showing their location at Martha's Vineyard's airport. Adding to the confusion, lawyers say these migrants all have paperwork listing homeless shelters as far as Tacoma, Washington, as their new U.S. addresses.
But that wasn't an end to it. Texas Governor Abbott sent 2 buses carrying illegal immigrants to Vice President Kamala Harris's residence at the United States Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C. Harris didn't comment, but a lot of Democrats did. More after the break. Welcome back. Republican governors are sending illegal immigrants to Democrat-run sanctuary cities. And how you feel about that largely depends on what side of the political aisle you sit. Many Democrats say that DeSantis treated illegal immigrants like cattle or cargo by loading them up onto planes and sending them to unknown destinations.
This is just an incredibly cheap political move by the governor of Florida that I believe is incredibly inhumane, using humans as political pawns, plotting to do this for months.
The White House also chimed in to denounce Republicans for this political stunt.
The fact that Fox News and not the Department of Homeland Security, the city, or local NGOs were alerted about a plan to leave migrants, including children, on the side of a busy D.C. street makes clear that this is just a cruel, premeditated political stunt. This is what they are doing.
Republicans are playing politics with human beings, using them as props. What they're doing is simply wrong. It's un-American. It's reckless.
Yeah. Instead of making a big show of this, you should do it secretly in the dead of night. Meanwhile, an attorney in Martha's Vineyard is accusing Republicans of lying to and misleading the illegal immigrants, as well as falsifying documents to purposely make the situation worse for everyone on the island.
Accounts from the migrants who arrived last night make it clear that they were lied to again and again, and fraudulently induced to board the planes.
Her staff made it clear that she expects legal action.
We will be exploring all civil and criminal legal options to hold the perpetrators accountable and to prevent this injustice from repeating itself. We stand ready to take legal action to protect the people here today and all those similarly situated.
She's not the only one. California Governor Gavin Newsom is even going so far as to request the Department of Justice to investigate Republicans for charges of kidnapping and civil rights conspiracy, which probably made the Department of Justice think, come on guys, we're already a little busy investigating your political enemies. Meanwhile, Republicans are blaming Biden for ending the federal Remain in Mexico policy and ignoring the border crisis.
We take what's happening at the southern border very seriously, unlike some, and unlike the President of the United States, who has refused to lift a finger to secure that border. Biden would fly people in the middle of the night, dump them all across this country. There was no warning on any of this.
DeSantis also defended himself by saying that the people who flew to Martha's Vineyard hit the jackpot. They certainly got a lot more hugs than most migrants on their way out of Martha's Vineyard. And that's the other focus of the right, calling out the hypocrisy of liberals that push for immigration policies that they don't have to deal with the consequences of. And sanctuary cities and destinations like Martha's Vineyard that freak out when a small number of migrants show up at their doorstep. The Massachusetts governor activated the National Guard and shipped the 48 migrants to a military base. Voluntarily, of course. Meanwhile, here's what's happening in the border city of El Paso.
Border Patrol saying that they've been completely overwhelmed in the city and as a result have had to release over 1,000 migrants onto the streets. Many of these migrants are coming from Venezuela and, as you can see, have been living in tents underneath overpasses on the streets of El Paso.
By the way, El Paso's mayor is a Democrat, and he has been busing hundreds of migrants to New York City. And El Paso just approved a $2 million contract for 16 months to bus even more migrants out of town. But for some reason, Democrats aren't complaining about this. Maybe how you feel about this has less to do with politics and more to do with if you actually have to deal with the consequences of a surge of illegal immigrants. This is why Republicans like Governor Abbott are also criticizing sanctuary city mayors for complaining about just a fraction of what border states face on a daily basis. Abbott says he's going to keep busing migrants until Biden secures the border. To be fair, a free ride to New York City is probably the least grueling thing these Venezuelans have been through. But while there is a lot of controversy over all this, there's at least one thing everyone can agree on. Kamala Harris is doing a terrible job. So what do you think? What should the U.S. do to address illegal immigration? Leave your comments below. And if you like this show, remember that we rely mainly on direct support from viewers like you. You can either support us on patreon.com/AmericaUncovered or on our exclusive social media community on Locals at americauncovered.locals.com. Become a supporter and help us keep making great episodes. Click the links below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.